How did I get started? You mean as a musician? I got started by being growing up in a musical family, because my dad used to be a musician way before I was born, and he was in a band playing guitar and singing, and so I had an interest in that from a very young age. There was always music in the house. He was a big record collector. He used to own a vinyl record shop, and so I grew up around music, around rock and roll music and hard rock and heavy metal music. Yeah, I grew up in the GDR, and he was in a rock and roll band when it was actually a dangerous thing, and so that just was something I gravitated towards from a very young age. I just found it to be the most interesting thing I can think of, so I started playing guitar very early. I basically moved out of my parents' home at 18 and became a musician right away. I mean, for many years I wasn't an employed or successful musician, but I was a musician. I was playing music, and so I have been playing guitar for over 30 years now, and I guess you could say this is my 20th year of being a pro musician, more or less. I've been using the pandemic as a platform to write, produce and record a new album, which is going to be completed soon. I'm going to the Netherlands tomorrow to record the lead vocals, which is the last missing piece musically, and it is like a culmination of all the things that I've been doing over the past couple of years. Stylistically, it goes back to some of the most successful things I've done. It uses the fretless guitar, the oud, full orchestras, gospel choirs, so it's very extensive. It's not an instrumental album like many projects I've done in the past. Vocals and lyrics are an integral part of it, and I have a great, amazing team of musicians working with me, which I'm very proud of. Some people I've been trying to work with for many years on this album, and frankly I think it's the best thing I've ever done as a composer and as a producer and as a performer. So that's going to be completed this year and hopefully released early next year. I think mostly I'm associated with the metal genre just because I have done the most work in that, and I've found the most acceptance in those circles, which is completely fine. But I've also worked in jazz, fusion, classical. I work a lot with orchestras, trying to bridge, metal and pop and rock and orchestral music these days. So I've done a lot of that. I've done advertising, film scores, worked on that. So all of the above, really. Yeah, even rap, pop. So yeah. Yeah, and like the next thing I'm doing is playing musical. So, and then from that straight to playing in one of the most extreme black death metal bands on the planet. So it's like constantly changing, and that's something I really appreciate about making music. I think you limit yourself to just one thing. The danger is that it becomes very stale. A few examples. I mean, obviously my solo albums are very dear to me, right? Because they encapsulate most of what I stand for and what I've tried to do as a musician, which are free at this point, with now the fourth one being recorded right now. And I think the most commercially successful one would have been an album called Acroasis by a band called Obscura, which is, I guess you could say, probably the most well-known German extreme metal band. That was very successful, entered the US charts, led to a lot of opportunity and craziness. A lot of people are messaging me about that to this day. A project that's very dear to my heart is a band called Amok Symphony, which is an Indian band, and we did a double album 2 years ago, which was called 4 or IV. that was artistically very, very rewarding, because that's like more like film scoring or working with theater, expressive art, than just, that's not a metal or rock and roll band. That is something very avant-garde, but in the best possible sense. Every time somebody trusts me with their music as a guest artist, as a co-writer, as you know, a mixing mastering engineer, as a music producer, all those things, it's always like an excitement and always something that's dear to me and that I try to honor in every way I can. So that's also what makes it difficult to choose one, because you know, you kind of have to immerse yourself 120%, and then you're completely in it, and then in that moment it's the most important thing you've ever done. Always, every time.